What's going on, guys? Sean Nalawani, SeanNal.com, RealScienceAthletics.com, and in this video today I want to talk about the 80-20 rule. It's also known as the Pareto principle. You might have heard of it before, but basically what it states is that 20% of your actions in a given area are ultimately going to be responsible for producing 80% of the overall results. And then the other 80% of your actions are going to produce the remaining 20% of results. So in other words, if you're trying to reach a certain goal, the vast majority of your results are ultimately going to come from a small group of key things that you do on a consistent basis. Now, this is taught pretty often when it comes to business, but the same idea also holds true for building muscle and losing fat. Now, one of the big issues I see nowadays is that because fitness in general has just become so huge, you know, here on YouTube, on social media, blogs, there's just so much conflicting information out there that people have to sift through and process. And so many of these content creators are just pumping out this constant fluff and BS to try and be unique and to stand out and to try to build up their following that way. You know, there's all these different dieting strategies, special training techniques, breakthrough supplements, ideas about certain foods that you must eat or you must avoid, exercises you must do or you must avoid. It just goes on and on and on. And because of that, it's really easy to get distracted and to lose sight of what's really important in the big picture. This constant information overload can sometimes give you the impression that getting into shape is this hugely complex process with a million different variables that you have to figure out and juggle, when in reality, coming back to the Pareto principle, 80% of the overall muscle building results you achieve, 80% of the fat you lose and the strength you gain is ultimately going to come as a result of applying 20% of all the possible things that you could do that are being taught and preached about online. And that's obviously just an estimate. You know, it could be 85-15, it could be 90-10, but the bottom line is to keep in mind that no matter what anyone tries to tell you or how convincing it might seem, the vast majority of your progress is going to come down to the basic fundamentals. There's just no way around it. There's no special unknown secret waiting around the corner that's all of a sudden going to make a world of difference and double or triple your progress overnight, or turn the whole process into some easy walk in the park, okay? It's the underlying fundamentals applied consistently over the long term that are going to make the real difference. Now, I'm talking about simple things, you know. Are you training with a high enough level of intensity in the gym? Are you training with proper form and centering your workouts around the basic compound lifts? Are you hitting each muscle with enough total volume and frequency throughout the week? Are you striving for progressive overload and getting stronger over time? Are you hitting your overall calorie needs and your approximate macronutrient needs for the day? I know none of this stuff sounds very exciting. It doesn't sound very glamorous. It's not going to sell programs or supplements as effectively as claiming that there's some special shortcut you can use instead. But this is the basic stuff that most of your fitness journey will boil down to if you want to be successful. If you train hard with proper form and you get consistently stronger on the basic compound lifts using enough total volume and frequency, and you support that with the proper amount of total calories and macronutrients throughout the week, and let's also throw in that you stay hydrated and you get a proper sleep each night. Those are important too. A few basic supplements if they fit into your goals. If you just do those things on a consistent basis, even if you never even think about anything else, you'll still probably achieve, I'd say, 80% or more of your total genetic potential when it comes to gaining muscle and leaning down, and probably within about 2 to 3 years or so if you're mostly consistent along the way. Now, obviously, there are additional details associated with those basic things. Okay, I'm not trying to oversimplify things here. You know, you have to learn how to train with proper form on each exercise. You have to learn how to calculate your volume and frequency and lay out a solid weekly training split, how to apply progressive overload, how to determine your calories and your macros and track your progress along the way. I wrote an entire book on these things that lays it all out step by step, and I wouldn't have written all that if I didn't think that explaining it all in detail was necessary. But once you do break it all down, you'll see that it really isn't that complicated, and it really doesn't take a long time to learn either if you commit yourself to it. So I'm not saying that getting into great shape is easy, and even once you do have the right knowledge in place, it still takes time to get the hang of everything and build up the proper habits and learn about your body and how it responds and things like that. But what I am saying is that for the most part, it really isn't that complicated. It doesn't require anything fancy, And if you keep the majority of your focus on the basic fundamentals and just get really good at applying those few key things, not only are you going to get way better results in comparison to trying to do 100 different things at once, but it's also going to simplify everything for you mentally, which will increase the chances that you'll actually stick to your program for the long term. And it'll also free up time and energy that you can then go ahead and divert onto other things. The smaller details do become increasingly important as you reach the more advanced stages of lifting, and if it's your goal to take your physique to the highest possible level. But for the average natural lifter, again, the bulk of your results are just going to come down to the simple, fundamental tasks carried out consistently over the long term, and that's where the majority of your focus should be in order to maximize your chances for success. So I hope this was helpful, guys. Like I mentioned before, having access to the proper information is a critical part of getting those fundamentals down as efficiently as possible because there's just so much misleading content out there nowadays. So if you do want to cut through all the nonsense and grab a fully structured, step-by-step plan that lays out everything you need to know in terms of training, nutrition, and supplementation using an honest, science-based approach, I'd recommend checking out my Body Transformation Blueprint program by clicking up at the top of the screen or visiting btblueprint.com because that's definitely a resource that I wish I would have had when I first started lifting. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe below if you haven't already to stay up to date on future videos. And you can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook as well for more daily tips and updates. The links for that are also below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.